Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 10 and iPhone XS Max came out many years ago, but let's go and see how they compare up in 2022. Now, both these iPhones I think are still great. For the most part, I think the 10 may be better deal for some people out there, but I'll go and leave links in the description where you can go and pick them up and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see the iPhone 10 is a much smaller phone with a 5.8-inch Super OLED display, Super Retina OLED display on this specific phone, and it's a pretty good panel. I think Samsung made this panel back in the day, but it's a very good panel. It's held up extremely well. When I look at even like an iPhone 13, and this panel still looks pretty good for the most part, and I'm still in love with this phone. The notch, everything about this phone I think still screams premium, and for it being 5 years old, I think it's held up extremely well for sure. Now with something like the iPhone XS Max, it had a bigger 6.5-inch OLED panel on it, pretty much the same type of display for the most part, but it definitely wasn't as premium as something as maybe like the iPhone 13 Pro Max that we have nowadays. Those have promotion and everything, but this is still a really good looking panel, and I think this is still a pretty good looking phone, at least on the front. It's a bigger phone, it's a little bit thicker, but in terms of thinness and thickness, I do think the XS Max is a little bit thicker, but they both kind of feel like the exact same phone. The XS Max is really just a bigger iPhone 10 in so many different ways. On the back, we have glass backs on both, which still feel premium. I do have a skin on my XS Max, but with IP certification, wireless charging, and the whole 9 yards, they both feel very good, and we do have dual camera setups on the back of both these as well, with lightning ports at the bottom too. So I definitely do think that both these phones look great. They both feel great too, and they're more similar than not. It's just the bigger size on the iPhone XS Max in my opinion. Now in terms of software and longevity, this is kind of an interesting thing between these two. The iPhone XS Max, it did come out, sooner, or like 2018 that this iPhone came out, so we will be getting probably a longer lasting phone on this thing. And with all the reports stating how Apple's going to be doing their future updates, they could be doing it on RAM, they could be doing it on chipsets inside. The XS Max is still going to be good. You had 4 gigabytes of RAM here versus the 3 on the iPhone 10. So I do think the XS Max has higher potential of outlasting the iPhone 10. But I've also been saying this for years. I think the iPhone 10 could end up lasting longer than some people may realize. I mean, this is a great phone still, and with its body and everything, Apple could end up cutting it early, or they could end up supporting it for a long time, like the iPhone 6s. So we don't really know, but I guess we'll see what happens in the future. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 10 has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone XS Max has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both of these. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background. 10 is here, XS Max is here. So let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And I think the XS Max was faster. Let's go and get into their app stores. 3, 2, 1. XS Max was faster, followed by the iPhone 10 a little bit behind. Not a crazy big deal in my opinion. Let's go and click into this one. XS Max was definitely faster there too. Let's get into clock. 3, 2, 1. I think they were both almost identical. Photos. 3, 2, 1. Almost identical too. Hopping out of this one. Camera. 3, 2, 1. Almost identical. We're getting some really good performance from both these, which is really nice. Hopping out of that. Settings. 3, 2, 1. And these are basic applications, but even on that one, you can see the iPhone XS Max was able to load that one up faster, which is honestly kind of surprising. Let's do stocks. 3, 2, 1. We're on different panels here, so it's a little bit harder to tell. So we'll just go and hop out of this one. Let's do notes. 3, 2, 1. Okay, 2 different panels as well. And that kind of covers it up on this specific page. As always, we have a bunch of these third-party applications we can go and test on both. So let's get into it. Let's do stack. 3, 2, 1. I think the XS Max was faster, but very close. I think it was like very close between these two. Hopping out of these two, Fruit Ninja, which I do not have here, which is very strange. That's like a popular game I usually have. Facebook. 3, 2, 1. iPhone XS Max was faster there by quite a bit. Twitter. 3, 2, 1. Very close. I don't know which one was faster, to be honest. Let's go and get into Snake vs. Blocks. 3, 2, 1. XS Max is faster, followed by the iPhone 10 at some point. We're seeing some pretty big differences here. I wasn't expecting these massive differences, but it looks like, I don't know why the iPhone 10 didn't load up, but very weird. Quizlet. 3, 2, 1. Glitched up a little bit on the iPhone 10, so we'll just hop out of this one. Thank you. 3, 2, 1. The iPhone 10 was actually faster here. Well, that's really good. Good to see an older phone kind of catching up. Netflix. 3, 2, 1. XS Max was faster, followed by the iPhone 10. Let's do Temple Run 2. I think this one is 3, 2, 1. And we can see the XS Max was faster. The iPhone 10 did have to load into this panel, but still, I mean, it is one of those things to kind of keep in mind. And I definitely do think when it comes down to it, the iPhone XS Max was faster here. And I do think it's kind of the faster phone. So when we're kind of looking at it in terms of a speed sense, the iPhone 10 is a little bit slower, but it's kind of expected, to be honest. When we have a phone between these two, the RAM is going to be the bigger difference, I think, but they're both kind of doing pretty well. This app didn't really load on the 10, but it's okay. But when it comes down to it, the XS Max is definitely faster. I wasn't expecting this big of a speed difference, but when it comes down to it, the XS Max is the faster one. iPhone's on a little bit slower, so that covers it up there. Now let's go ahead on the cameras. Like I mentioned, dual camera setup on the back of both of these, wide and telephoto lenses, 4K at 60 on the back of both of these. The iPhone XS Max can do 1080p at 60 on the front, where the iPhone 10 can only do 1080p at 30. Now, to be completely honest, I've said this for a long time now. The iPhone 10 camera, I think, still holds up fairly well. Again, it's a dual camera setup, so you do have that telephoto lens too, which is nice. But you don't have a crazy. I wouldn't say you have like the longest lifespan in terms of this camera because you are missing that ultra wide sensor. But the iPhone XS Max is also missing that ultra wide sensor, so you kind of are lacking the same thing on both. You do have portrait mode here, which is nice. You have slow mo mode and all that, but this is starting to become a dated sensor. And now that we have like iPhone 13s that have way better sensors, it is a little bit of a different. It is a little bit of a different story in my opinion. So then we have phones like the iPhone XS Max, which in my opinion still hold up very, very well. But again, it's kind of messing with the same thing with the iPhone 10. It's lacking an ultra wide sensor, no 4K at 60 on the front either. 1080p at 60 is great, but no 4K at 60. That's kind of taking an L there. You are missing things like cinematic mode that we have nowadays, and I would say this camera could have been better. I think the 11 Pro Max was a stellar camera for sure. And this one, again, starting to show its age. Is it a big deal? I mean, not really, but it is one of those things to kind of keep in mind at the end of the day. So, in terms of the camera setup, that kind of covers it up there. And to be completely honest, I think the iPhone XS Max is a better phone in most areas. Like if you have to go pick up one, I would probably recommend just buying the iPhone XS Max. But I don't necessarily think the XS Max is like that much better of a phone than the iPhone 10. I've been saying this for a long time now. I think the iPhone 10 is a really good deal. The XS Max is still selling for over $350, I think, for the most part. With the iPhone 10, on the other hand, not really the case. I mean, it's still expensive, 200 and something dollars, but it's not really as bad as something like the XS Max in terms of price tag. So I would say the iPhone 10 is probably the better one in that standpoint. I think the XS Max is great, but it just didn't really hold up too well in the battery standpoint. And for its price, still, it hasn't depreciated a crazy amount. I think the iPhone 10 may be better for some people, but the XS Max is going to last longer for a majority of people out there. So that's pretty much how it kind of summed up for a majority of people out there. So that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.